Welcome to Mini Mind Hack, where psychology and philosophy meet literature and sociology. Today, we ask a simple but unsettling question. Is it still possible to escape the Matrix? To find out, we'll move from Plato's cave, through Baudrillard's Simulacra, all the way to what personal growth might mean in our hyper-connected age. Neo opens a book. At first, it looks like nothing special, just a hollowed-out cover where he hides computer disks. But if you look closely, you'll see the title Simulacra and Simulation by the French philosopher Jean Baudrillard. This isn't just a random detail the Wachowskis slipped in. It's a clue, a kind of secret password into the deeper layers of the Matrix. Because what is the Matrix about, if not the oldest question humanity has been asking? What is real, and what is illusion? Let's start far back, in ancient Greece. Plato tells us a story, maybe the most famous story in all of philosophy. Imagine human beings chained inside a cave since birth. They cannot move their heads. All they see is the wall in front of them. Behind them burns a fire. Between the fire and the prisoners are people carrying objects, statues, figures, shapes which cast shadows on the wall. That's all the prisoners ever know. Shadows, flickering shapes. For them, those shadows are reality itself. Now imagine that one prisoner is freed. He turns around. He sees the fire. He stumbles outside. And at first he is blinded by the sunlight. But slowly, painfully, his eyes adjust. He sees trees, sky, rivers, animals, the very sun itself. And in that moment he realizes, everything I thought was real was only a shadow of the real thing. Plato says this is what philosophy is, to wake up, to step out of the cave of illusions and into the light of truth. And here comes the twist. The philosopher cannot stay outside forever. He must go back into the cave. He must return to the prisoners, try to free them even if they resist. Even if they laugh at him or kill him for disturbing their comfortable illusions. Does this sound familiar? This is the heartbeat of the Matrix. Morpheus tells Neo, "You've been living in a dream world." Neo swallows the red pill, steps out of the cave, and into the blinding desert of the real. And like Plato's philosopher, he returns, not just to save himself, but to free others. But this story doesn't only belong to Greece. In Buddhism, there is a similar vision. Everyday life is called Maya, illusion. People wander in samsara, the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, caught in suffering and illusions. It is like being trapped in a dream that repeats without end. The Buddha is the one who awakens, like Plato's prisoner leaving the cave. He sees reality as it truly is, beyond appearances, beyond the shadows on the wall. Yet in Mahayana Buddhism, the idea goes even deeper. A bodhisattva is someone who could break free from this cycle and enter nirvana, a state beyond suffering. But out of compassion, they make a vow. Instead of escaping, they are reborn again and again, choosing to stay within samsara to guide others toward awakening. Neo mirrors this role. He doesn't simply leave the Matrix behind for his own freedom. He returns into it, again and again, risking himself so that those still trapped in illusion might find their way out. So far, this is a hopeful story. Yes, the world may be an illusion, but there is an exit, a way out. A higher reality waiting for us if only we dare to see it. But then enters Jean Baudrillard, and Baudrillard throws a shadow over this entire story. In Simulacra and Simulation, Jean Baudrillard argued that modern life has become governed by signs and images that no longer refer reliably to an external reality. A simulacrum is a sign that has lost its relation to an original referent and instead circulates within a system of other signs, producing what he calls hyperreality. For Baudrillard, this means the old question of reality versus illusion can be misleading. In an age of simulacra, the distinction itself has already begun to collapse. This is also why Baudrillard publicly criticized the Matrix. He felt the film reintroduced the outdated binary of reality versus illusion, and therefore misread the more radical claim he was making. Think about advertising. The smiling family in a car commercial isn't selling you an actual car. It's selling you an idea of happiness, freedom, success. The picture doesn't describe reality. It creates a fantasy that we start to treat as real. Or consider social media. Influencers often build lives designed for the camera. Perfect morning routines, flawless meals, dream vacations. We don't really see their lives. We see curated images of a life that might not exist at all, and yet those images shape what millions of people believe is desirable or even possible. Sometimes the image even creates an entirely new reality. Take money. Once, a banknote represented a fixed amount of gold. Today, it no longer refers to anything material. It's a pure symbol. And yet this symbol governs economies, shapes governments, and decides the fate of billions. Even whole experiences can turn into simulacra. A trip to Disneyland doesn't just offer rides. It sells you the image of a real America full of cowboys, princesses, and Main Street nostalgia. But here's the twist. What if Disneyland feels more real than the world outside its gates? This is Baudrillard's nightmare, that the sign replaces the thing it's supposed to represent. The map no longer describes the territory. The copy replaces the original. Shadows don't hide the real. They become the only thing there is. And here lies the frightening difference between the Matrix and simulacra and simulation. In the film, there is still an outside. There is still a desert of the real. You can wake up. You can take the red pill. But in Baudrillard's philosophy, there is no outside left. There is no desert of the real waiting for us. Only endless mirrors reflecting mirrors, dreams pointing to other dreams. From his point of view, reality no longer exists. There is nothing left against which simulation could be distinguished. Reality has merged with illusion and has been replaced by simulacra. The Wachowskis actually invited Baudrillard to consult on The Matrix, but he declined. Instead of embracing the project, Baudrillard later criticized it, saying, "The Matrix is surely the kind of film about the Matrix that the Matrix itself would have been able to produce." Now think about our lives today. Social media may be the purest form of the simulacrum. People no longer exercise simply to be healthy. They work out for the gym selfie. We don't travel just to feel the wind on our skin. We travel for the Instagram shot. We don't eat a meal simply to taste it. We take a photo first to prove it happened. The experience is bent, reshaped, designed for the image. Reality is consumed by its own shadow. And what about the booming industry of personal growth? At first glance, it seems to promise something real, becoming wiser, calmer, more fulfilled. But is it always that? Or has self-improvement too become a simulacrum, another glossy image to perform online? A race to show how optimized, mindful, and enlightened we are, rather than a genuine search for meaning? Maybe our obsession with growth is less about living deeply and more about displaying progress like a badge of honor. So the question becomes, are we in the Matrix or are we in a simulacrum? If it were the Matrix, that would almost be good news, because then there would be an exit. There would be a truth, a desert of the real. But if Baudrillard is right, there is no exit, no awakening, only an infinite play of images, copies without originals, shadows without a fire. And yet, even in that hall of mirrors, the choice remains: to endlessly scroll and compete in displays of success, or to risk moments that do not need an audience, to touch, to listen, to breathe, not for the camera, not for the algorithm, but for their own sake. Maybe true personal growth today is not about escaping into a higher reality or curating the perfect self for display, but daring to live in ways that resist simulation. So when Neo hides his discs inside Baudrillard's book, it's not just a clever Easter egg, it's a riddle, a warning, a reminder that perhaps the real question is not whether we can wake up from the dream, but whether we can live meaningfully inside it. Thanks for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and if you found this video valuable, a like or subscription really helps me keep going. You'll find links to related literature in the description and pinned comment. I look forward to seeing you next time.